Whoa. What the? Entropy?
Five different parallel worlds have collided, causing space and time to collapse, creating the Nexus. Entropy is a fast-paced card action game where players race to try and retrieve all their fragments trapped in the Nexus. The first player to retrieve their 4 fragments and therefore recreate their world will be the winner of the game. This is like the trickiest social puzzle I've ever had to try and complete. Other people keep nicking my world fragments. Which one of you has it? Entropy is a game designed by Chang. It is published by Rule and Make. It is a game for 2 to 6 players, takes about 15 minutes, and is a card action selection game. To begin a game of Entropy, players select from one of the 5 characters. Ronin is a character who was trapped in the Nexus long ago and can only be played in a game of 3 or more players. Each character has a 4-card landscape image that matches with their home world. Oh, these would look great as canvas prints on my lounge room wall. Ronin is the only character that doesn't have a 4-card landscape image. His landscape is comprised of wild fragments and one other player's landscape piece. Depending on how many characters there are, take the landscape pictures of the characters that are playing and then shuffle them to create a deck called the Nexus deck. It should always be one face-up card in the discard pile. If there are no cards here, simply draw from the top of the Nexus deck, flip it over and put it in the discard pile. The discard pile is open information, so that means all players can go through the discard pile and see what's there at any time. Place the anchor card next to the Nexus deck. There are 2 types of states of cards in this game: revealed or shrouded. Place the revealed cards on the right hand side of your character. Place the shrouded cards on the left hand side. You may look at your shrouded cards at any time, but at the beginning of the game, each player starts with 1 shrouded card on their left. Each player then takes the 5 action cards numbered from 2 all the way to 6. They then take their unique action card, which is marked with the number 1 and text, and match it up with their character card using the symbols. When setting up your first game, please remember to refer to this table which tells you what cards to remove from the game. Each round of a game is played over 4 turns. During each turn, players select an action card, place it face down onto the table. The cards are then revealed simultaneously. So for example, in this round, Ronin's action would take place first because it's got a 2. And then Eye of the Storm because it's got a 4. If 2 players play the same action, then a clash occurs and neither action resolves. The player who controls the anchor card can still complete their action. The anchor allows a player to resolve their action even though they're engaged in a temporal clash. After 4 turns, the round ends. If any 2 players clash 3 or more times throughout that round, then a fracture event occurs. In a fracture event, the discard pile is then combined together with the Nexus pile. The pile is then shuffled. The top 3 cards are then revealed. If a fracture world image matches up with one of the 2 players that were involved in the fracture event, they can take the card. Fracture event is simply a catch-up mechanism that prevents players from falling too far behind in the game. Gameplay continues until one player completes their image and then wins the game. No players can also win the game by using a wildcard fragment in the image, as this image represents the 5 different parallel worlds. It's important to note that once your world cards are revealed and they relate to your character, they stay locked. However, this wild card could be stolen by another player and used to help finish their tableau. Let's have a look at actions 2 to 6. We'll go through the unique actions in a moment. So, the number 2 action, Beacon, allows you to reveal all fragments in your play area or another player of your choice must reveal a fragment of your reality if they have your card. If I shroud all my fragments and then use the beacon card, I could reveal all the cards in one go and completely win the game. Telekinesis, you can discard a fragment from any player, however it can't be a revealed locked fragment as I just said, or you can take a revealed fragment from another player. When you do Eye of the Storm, you can draw 2 fragments from the Nexus and discard 1, or take any fragment from the discard pile. Phase Shift, you take the anchor from the Nexus or from another player. Portal, swap a fragment in your play area with either the top fragment of the Nexus or any fragment in the discard. Note that this portal card is not used in a 2-player game. Jessup has Deceptive. He can play an action already played in this round, so he can use the same action twice. Cenic's card is Resourceful, so he can take all fragments of your reality from the discard, and any fragments taken from the discard is placed face down. So Advaranau is Persuasive for the remainder of the round. Whenever the anchor is returned back to the Nexus, it goes to this character instead. So Kintriel's ability is Militant, so she gets to draw a fragment from the Nexus whenever she clashes with another character. Mary's ability is Adaptive. She can look for a fragment in the Nexus deck and put it on top. Ronin has 2 ability cards. Preemptive, select an action from your hand and resolve it using its initiative order, and this is the initiative order here, so you can play any action from your hand. And Discipline, search the Nexus for the Vortex and take it. And the Vortex specifically helps Ronin to keep his wild fragment cards from being stolen by other players. Whenever the Vortex is revealed, all players need to pick a revealed fragment of their world color and shroud it, which whoever holds the Vortex has their wild fragments locked and they can't be stolen by any other players. The Vortex is a setback mechanism to stop players from running ahead and winning the game too quickly. In terms of the gameplay, I really like the fact that you actually have to predict what the other players are going to do. Thinking about where the other players know where all their 4 pieces are, in terms of looking at your shrouded card, looking at what's revealed in the discard deck, questioning other players through verbal social interaction, and the other fact that you actually can plan your action so that you can block another player from doing an action that they might really need in order to win the game. So having the anchor is especially quite useful because that allows you to use or initiate a clash, but you can still actually do the action that you want. And vice versa, if you want to complete the game and you have the anchor as a security, you can then stop someone else from blocking you and also thereby winning the game. So I like how this game has a very cyclic nature. All the fragments feel like they're rotating around and they're in the Nexus and you're reaching out and you're trying to grab for all the pieces that belong to you, whilst at the same time accidentally grabbing other people's pieces and they're trying to grab them back off you. And it's a whole process of reorganizing everyone's landscapes and trying to prioritize so that you can organize your landscape first. This has a high replay value. It's a short, fast game, incredibly cheap price for the beautiful artwork and the quality components that you get in this tiny box. I like how you do feel like it's a puzzle and you're trying to complete the puzzle, but it's a social interaction puzzle where you have to negotiate and try and figure out who might have your pieces and how you're going to collect them all back into the same spot. One of the limitations that I found when learning this game was that I found that the rulebook was a little bit confusing. I found that some of the rules weren't as clear as I'd like them to be upon the first reading, but after I read it quite a few times and then tried the game out and then learnt as I played, I think the rules then became much clearer. I think the issue that I found was that the rulebook tried to build the theme into the rules as well, and I think all I wanted to find out from the rulebook was how to actually play the game. And the other thing I'd like to talk about is the player count. I find that at the 2-player count, there are some characters that are much more powerful than other characters. Cenec and Jessup are the most powerful characters at the 2-player level. If one person plays Jessup and someone else plays one of the other characters, you do find that Jessup does dominate a little bit more with his unique ability, and so does Cenec. So I think if you want to play this game, I think it's better at a 2-player level just to play with these 2 characters. But I have played a couple of games where I played as Mary and really was very close to winning. If you are looking at a 3 to 4 player game, I do think that Advaranau and Kintriel are quite good characters to add to the mix. Their abilities require people to clash, and you're less likely to clash if you're playing a two-player game. In a two-player game, you might clash once or twice, but then rarely will you actually clash 3 times. But at a 3 to 4, 5-player level, you'll clash a lot more, and you'll get a lot more use out of their special, unique ability cards. Mary's character has the strangest ability. It allows you to look for her fragment and puts it at the top of the deck, which then can be drawn. So you really need to play the adaptive card quite early on to get it to the top, and then use the Eye of the Storm in order to get the card into your tableau, and then you need to use Beacon to reveal it. So I feel like this particular ability has too many steps in order to achieve what you want to achieve. And the other characters do it much more efficiently. So Jessup and Cenec, well, Cenec is able to go through and take all the cards of his particular world and then shroud them and put them on his tableau. So that kind of skips one step compared to Mary, who's got to jump through 2 steps. I really think Ronin, the expansion, does add a really interesting element. So not only is he grabbing for the wild fragments, but he's trying to grab for one other player's particular world piece in order to complete his world. And I think that adds an interesting element because it's kind of working as a balancing mechanism, and he can channel his energy towards who might be winning. When you play at a 6-player count, you can clash so many times, and people can clash with each other so often that you find that any action that you want to try and get through, you aren't able to get through because simply someone else has chosen the action. And they might not have chosen on purpose, but it just works out that you've all clashed. And you can find that in some situations, in rare occurrences, you might clash, get nothing done. Also, when you encounter the fracture event where you hopefully get your particular world piece, your world piece doesn't even turn up. So for a whole round and 4 turns, you've done nothing. At a higher player count, this game tends to feel a little bit more blocky, and that means people tend to end up blocking each other, not intentionally, sometimes intentionally, but you create this kind of weird stalemate. Some of the characters can overcome that using their abilities, so Kintriel can get, a card every time you clash. So that would be her exit strategy out of it. So this game works much better at 3 to 4 players. I think that's the most ideal count because you get the best combinations, you've got the right size deck, and you've got enough leeway that you're not going to clash all the time. To me, it doesn't diminish the game and the quality of the game itself and the enjoyment factor. An interesting 2-player variant to try with this game is for each player to take on 2 different character roles and then have one set of action cards and take both players' unique actions and then use them with the 2 characters. That's an interesting one to try, and if you do try it out, please let me know in the comments below. In considering my final verdict, Entropy is a fun, fast puzzle-making game where players race to grab their pieces and complete their pictures first. It's light on the decision-making and light on the strategy as well, whilst delivering maximum enjoyment. Thank you for joining me for another board game review at Board Game Sanctuary. If you really like my videos, please subscribe. This is Danny signing out. I'll see you again soon.